And welcome, fellow historians, to what I think is a rather extraordinary moment in our time together. And that is not just the fireside chats that I had put together over the past few days that were taped, but now having a fireside chat that is live. The bookcase is not on fire over there, it's just a screen, so worry not. But the biblioteca is in good shape, and I feel great. Got my Earl Grey tea, which, of course, mm, warms the throat and the soul in these trying times. But I just wanted to come together and welcome you to this opportunity to just kind of lay out the case for you over the next week. I'd like to say that we're going to be operating in these next few uncertain, uncharted weeks with both short term objectives and long term goals. So we'll begin to talk this evening about what our short term objectives are before we get into some of those long term goals. And again, I will be fielding your questions here live through Remind. So at any time you would like to share a question, I'll again thank you for giving us the live question and be able to respond to it. But before we begin, I just want to talk a little bit about the meaning beginning with your questions. I want to talk a little bit about our upcoming days and the platforms that we will be using. Now, I have to, and I've said this in the other fireside chats, I've got to really understand that you've got 7 teachers or 6 or 5 if you've got early uh, release or late arrival, but you've got all these teachers are going to have pretty much all these different platforms. And I know the directive that's been given to us from the district at this point is to use Canvas and to make the transition from the classroom and into the online classroom as seamless and as easy as possible. So I'm going to be using terms like assignment in the coming days and weeks. And I want you to look at the word assignment as something that is a fluid type of device to allow us to learn together. So if I say something like, hey, we've got a little micro write, I'd like you to get that to me in Canvas on Thursday by midnight. I'm not going to be one of those teachers that's going to hold you to the fire. I will allow you the opportunity to submit that when you get a chance to, because I have to realize, and I said this again earlier, you have got a myriad of responsibilities that have been put on your shoulders now at home. And so I don't want to overburden you. Just communicate those with me. But I still want to get those things done. But if you say, hey, can I get to you on Friday or can I get to you on following Monday? Hey, that's perfectly fine. So when I say assignment, and I say due date on something, I want you to look at that as just something that is to do. And then when you can get it to me, that will be most appropriate. So for our first assignment, and interestingly enough, a lot of you have done this assignment, and it's on Canvas, and it's just basically a check-in. I'm going to make this assignment due by midnight tomorrow night, by midnight at on Monday night. And you're just going to go in, give you a little prompt. It basically outlined for you in analyzing the extent to which the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted your life. And I put that, and again, this is my own lack of expertise in Canvas, but I was putting it in there to release on Monday and then have you turn it in on Monday night, but I didn't put a start date. And so it just instantly went to you. And like within a few minutes, 15 or so of y'all were submitting those assignments. And so I was like, okay, great. Hey, the pipeline's open. Awesome. And Canvas works now. So if you can get in there, and we'll talk about this tomorrow when we begin school with our actual full lesson. We'll kind of walk you through the Canvas submissions as well. And like I said, there'll be micro writes, SAQs, DBQs, and LAQs. Now, with those assignments, the next question you always ask is, well, then what is the grade? That's the big, and I've got my notepad right here, grades with a question mark, exemptions with a question mark, attendance with a question mark. So I think the big goals for the district initially was just to get these online platforms put out and to get you out of the classroom and online in your various different classes. And then once that is settled, then the following week, again, I'm not putting a timeline on it. I don't know what the district's timeline is, but the following week, I'm anticipating that we'll have something that will allow us to have more guidance on grades. The fifth 6 weeks is supposed to be ending here pretty soon. Are we going to extend the fifth 6 weeks and shorten the sixth 6 weeks? Or are we going to, put them all together into one final culminating 6 weeks? Big question mark. But you will be the first to know on that. So that's Canvas. That's the assignment. So when you see on the calendar that I'm going to release tomorrow when we begin school, when you have an assignment at that due date, don't freak out. Just get it to me when you need to. So, MrNesossi.com. I have had probably 75 of you register for the website, and that's great. If you can, if you're listening and are able to, of course, after the live feed, go in and register on MrNesossi.com, log in. I just need your first name and your last name and just a good working email address. That's it. Don't give me your address and your phone number. I'm not going to be using those items. And that's going to just to shrinken the audience pool for our time together. I can't have students from all over the country logging into Mr. Nesossi and asking questions on our forum board or having access to those lessons. I want to keep that reserved for just our little family and to keep that in just that kind of small proximity that we're used to as well. So MrNesossi.com, make sure you get registered and get that taken care of. And I think all of you, I've still got 2 students. I'm chasing you down. If you're listening and you haven't signed up for Remind, I don't know why. It's like, I don't know, March, and you still haven't signed up for Remind. But please do at Mr. NA Push and get that ready to go. All right. So as far as our calendar goes, and then I'll get to your Q&A. I got a couple of questions queued up here. As far as the calendar goes for the coming days, tomorrow we're going to get together. I'm going to be posting a taped fireside chat that will provide you with kind of the lay of the land, what we're going to be doing as far as content goes. Now, if you haven't heard yet, I'm sure you already have, we will not be covering periods 8 and 9 in the coming year. Now, that is a huge tear in my eye because period 8 has got a lot of good stuff. And if you're in my 4th period class, that's going to make Mr. Piari very mad because he's got a lot to say about period 8. So I'm sure we can work in some good Bay of Pigs invasion and some good, communist dictatorships moving through Central America and the Kennedy administration of the Cold War in peripheral lessons. But we won't be having content that you'll be responsible for in the coming days that require periods 8 and 9. Now, with that being said, I did have a really good question from a couple of students that said, well, if we want to utilize material from periods 8 and 9 in our continuity and change or in our compare and contrasting or causation in our formal writing, what would we do about that? And I paused for a second. I thought, yeah, that's really awesome to be thinking that. So what I'm going to be doing is, at least as we wrap up period 7, I'll talk about that in just a few minutes, and we go back and start reviewing things from periods 1 through period 6 vis-a-vis 7, I'm going to draw specific poignant points of causation. So say, let's just take New Deal, for instance. I mean, here we got the fire going in FDR. So let's talk New Deal for a second. We got FDR's New Deal. There are tons of opportunities to compare and contrast that with Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society in the mid 1960s. And so I'll take that opportunity. We go back and review the New Deal to say, I just want you to be privy to some of the items that were in LBJ's Great Society, John F. Kennedy's New Frontier. And so we'll be looking at some of those opportunities to compare and contrast. We also are looking at a big economic thematic fence line for the end of the course. And that starts with Alexander Hamilton's financial plan, Fattening the Wallet, remember FATN, to Henry Clay's American System, to FDR's New Deal. And then to close that out, the idea of the early and mid 1980s Reaganomics and this trickle down economic theory. So we'll be reviewing the financial plans in aggregate. Excuse me, a little sip of the tea there. we will then be able to bring Ronald Reagan's story into that. When we start looking at women's rights, for instance, and the civil rights movement, which we won't be attacking as a formal lesson, but I will be drawing a lot of the key facets of the civil rights movement because I definitely want that to be integrated into your writing. Now, the College Board, and this is again all I know, pretty much know what you know from the College Board with period 1 through 7, I think it'd just make your writing that much more impressive if you're able to pull some of those items in from periods 8 and 9. What I would like for you to do though is, and I'll send this link out if you don't get a chance to review it, but I want you to follow, if you're on Twitter, Trevor Packer, Trevor. Trevor Packer. He is one of the Bucky Mucks over at College Board, and he is consistently updating bits of information with the exam. But a bulk of what they're going to be doing with the exam, as far as in that 45 minutes, are you going to be doing an SAQ or a DBQ or an LAQ? I again don't know. They're going to have that for you by the third, yeah, the 3rd of April. It says there. All right. So from the content standpoint and our calendar moving forward, we will spend the first few days of this week just making sure I have everybody on board, making sure. I mean, I've got 54 people that are tuned in right now, so I think that's fantastic. Gosh, that's almost a little over the third of the entire population of all the students that I have. So that's fantastic. So thank you for taking time out of your Sunday evening to join us. And if you're watching us taped, hey, that's great as well. But I've got to make sure I have to have 100% of you online because I can't just start getting into material and then here you are 3 weeks later and you show up and what are we doing? And it's like, where have you been? So tomorrow and Tuesday, I will be. Isn't that the truth? Do you even know what day of the week it is? I got up. I was like, I don't know. Is it 10 o'clock? Is it 11 o'clock? Is it Tuesday? Is it Sunday? Should I, go outside? I don't know. So days of the week I'm having to remind myself tomorrow is Monday and day after that is Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday, I'm making sure that 100% of y'all can get into Canvas. You've registered on mrnesossi.com and you are able to get into the Zoom meetings. Now, I want to talk for just a second about those Zoom meetings that are coming up, and I'm very excited about those Zoom meetings on Tuesday. You should have seen that in the forum, so go to the forum and look at your time for your class period and get the URL, just copy and paste it and get into that Zoom meeting. And that is an opportunity for all of us to talk face-to-face. So this communication, I look at the YouTube Live as like the LGI. All of the students are in there, and I'm just kind of talking at you. I have some feedback I'm going to get to from you in just a few seconds, but this is pretty much a me giving you information. The Zoom meetings, we're going to have a grid where you're going to have all of these different squares, and we're going to look like the Brady Bunch. That's a reference for boomers. But we'll be all in these different squares, and then we could talk to each other, be like, hey, look there. Oh my gosh. Hey. And we can kind of have this feedback. And I'm not looking for a lesson per se during that time period. We're going to start every week off. We're going to do it on a Tuesday because we're going to get kind of the periphery stuff done tomorrow. And then Tuesday, we'll have our Zoom meeting. And then that following Monday, and then the following Monday, again, we'll have another Zoom meeting just to kind of recalibrate. Hey, check in. How's everybody doing? Because aside from the academic stuff, the intellectual stuff, the historical processing stuff, I want to check in on you. I mean, I miss you. And so that's going to be fun for us to kind of reconnect and have some of our inside jokes because every one of you class periods, I've got little inside jokes. And so if I said something that we have an inside joke in on first period, sixth period would have no idea what I'm talking about, and vice versa. Fourth period would have no idea what we're talking about with the tiger being let out of the cage. Everybody in fourth period would laugh, but then only first period would laugh at broccoli. Right. So, and first period's laughing right now. I can even hear them, even though I technically can't. All right. So that's what those Zoom meetings are going to allow us to do, that we're going to allow ourselves to get together and have kind of a time of community, because I think even in this social separation, the social distancing, community is going to be really, really important. And I don't consider you just a class, but family. And I think that will be awesome to just get together, laugh, cut up a little bit, get rid of some of those social cobwebs that we've had over the past few days and get back into it. So I'm looking forward to the Zoom meetings. And then I'm thinking Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm going to ease into a little bit of just kind of bringing period 7 in slowly. We left off with a little bit of World War One, kind of World War Two. I'm already forgetting history. World War Two, and then we will start to ease back into U.S. involvement, uh, the social economic changes in America during that time period, because that's again all going to be on the AP exam periods 1 through 7. So that calendar, we'll go over it tomorrow in a formal class setting. I might even put on a blazer just because I want to, feel like the blazers are hung in the closet right now. They're all like, "Are you going to wear me anytime soon?" But the dry cleaning bill is so low, so that's fantastic. So I've literally been. I don't know if y'all need to know this. I've been in this hoodie for like the past 3 weeks, right? So I'm, I'm ready to maybe put a blazer on or spiff it up for our class period coming up here in the next few days. All right, so that does it. Canvas, and I'm going to get your questions here in just a second, so don't worry. Canvas assignments, submissions, and quotation marks. Get logged into mrassoci.com. Get registered. Make sure you keep those Q&As coming in on the form. Make sure you're on Remind, as I keep sending you Remind alerts. And again, I don't know about credit. I don't know about grades. I don't know about exemptions. All of that stuff is going to be coming down the pipe here very soon. And on the kind of the emotional touchy-feely side of this too, I've been hearing from some of my former students, seniors. I can't imagine what they're going through right now as a senior with like senior prom and graduation and all of these kind of trappings that close out your high school experience, has a big question mark on it. And so, if you know seniors or you're friends with them, go easy on them, because this is really, really tough. It is on all of us, but particularly the class of 2020. All right, so I am going to bring up the questions, and let's see here. We're going to go right to the. I'm going to go from the very bottom and work my way up. Um, Okay, so here we go, Mr. Monette, and I'm just reading this right here. First, I was literally typing up a question to see if we could ask on Remind whilst you talk. Would assignments be only on Canvas, or would we mix and match in Canvas for a singular assignment? So I think any submissions that you have for assignments, products that you're going to deliver to me, they are going to go through Canvas. And that's much more of kind of an equal footing for the district. So everything that you submit to me that I'm going to grade, again, I don't know how I'm going to grade it or how it's going to weigh. So that's still TBD. But anything you submit to me is going to be writing assessments that way. As far as multiple choice questions or test questions, that kind of stuff, or practicing with multiple choice questions, just from getting that content, that's going to be through AP Classroom. And again, I was going to save that for later on in the week, because I don't want to overburden you. The last thing I want for you to do is to leave this session be like, "Oh my God, I got Remind, I've got Canvas, I got Mr. Associate, I got AP Classroom, I've got Wigglemaloo, I've got Wobble, I've got Kahoot," all of these platforms that teachers are throwing at you. So we'll deal with AP Classroom a little bit later. Let's just keep it simple. So anything you submit to me, it's going to be through Remind, and we're going to go simple. So the first thing you're going to submit to me on Remind is going to be a check-in, 1 or 2 sentences on how the COVID-19, I like saying that instead of Corona. Because, well, now I'm dating myself as an 80s kid. Your parents will appreciate this. But if they remember a song called My Sharona, My Sharona, every time I hear, why am I sharing this? Every time I hear the word Corona, I think not my Corona. That would be terrible. My Corona. But I think, my Sharona. So I have to say COVID-19. And then another one of my friends who's an 80s kid had said, well, then COVID-19 is, instead of COVID-19, it's Come On Eileen. So if you want to listen to that, Come On Eileen, oh, I swear, COVID-19. So I can't escape 80s music and a pandemic. How's that for getting off track? All right. So Mr. Monette, literally typing up a question to see, yes, assignments will only be on Canvas, and then we'll do some multiple choice submissions on AP Classroom. Ms. Mozachek from first period, are the Zoom meetings around 45 minutes long? The district, good question. The district is mandating that we are only allowed to deliver instruction in 30-minute increments daily. And so I want to kind of adhere to that. So As far as our time together in the Zoom meetings, it's only going to be 30 minutes. So for first period, you'll be from 9 to 9:30. That'll give you a chance to kind of recalibrate. And then second period will be from 10 to 10:30, and then 11 to 11:30 for fourth period, and so on. So Zoom meetings are only going to be for 30 minutes. Now, I want to talk about Zoom for just one more second. If you want to, now again, I've got nothing but time on my hands. I'm literally sitting on the house, just waiting to talk to you. So if you want to set up a one-on-one conference through Zoom, you're more than welcome to do so. And just message me on Remind and say, hey, can we set up a conference? I have a question about this, and we can get together and conference for a few minutes on Remind, and I'll be happy to do that with you. And Miss Mosachuk followed that up by saying boomer. Okay. Here we go. Mr. Ramos. Will you still be, Mr. Ramos, from first period? Will you still be posting the period 8 and 9 IGs for both personal interest and to use in assignments as complexity, etc.? Fantastic, Mr. Ramos. Nicely done. Yes, I will, with much joy, based on the work that we've done on these IGs, post periods 8 and 9 IGs for your viewing pleasure. So you can count on it. I will add it underneath period 8 and under period 9. I will also open up, if you go to the main page on mrnesossi.com, where we have the big blocks of period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll open up 8 and 9 and have all that available. Even the slideshows, you could go through the slideshows. I don't want to overburden you, but if you want to go through the slideshows on your own just to add some complexity to your knowledge or just for personal interest, I'll be happy to do that. And so you can go through those on your own. My apologies for just a second. Lots of talking on this day. So thank you, Mr. Ramos. Miss Cuddy, she's OMG, literally laughing out loud at the broccoli. Thank you, Miss Cuddy. First period, getting quite a ruse out of the broccoli. Ask one of your friends in first period what broccoli is. I'm not going to do that on live YouTube. Mr. Desai from fourth period, are Zoom meetings only going to be once a week? Yes, Mr. Desai. We're only going to have it would be too taxing on you and frankly me to set up a meeting all day long. I'd be literally sitting in front of this computer all day. So Zoom meetings as a class, where I'd like to strongly encourage you to attend, is only going to be on Monday at the beginning of the week. And then if you want to set up a smaller Zoom conference, or let's say even you and a couple of other people from fourth period want to get together and have a Zoom conference, I'll be happy to do that. So just send me a reminder and say, hey, myself and somebody else, not Mr. Yarnany, because he'd probably fall asleep during it, but if you get exposed on YouTube Live. So you can certainly then ask to have a smaller group setting on Zoom, and I'll be happy to do that with you. All right, Mr. Anand. Hey, Mr. Anand, good to hear from you. From sixth period, Mr. Nesossi, where do we find our Zoom class period code? Good question, Anand. And for those of you, if you go to mrnesossi.com, click on forum at the top, and then underneath there, the third box says Zoom meetings. Click on that box, and you'll see a whole list of the 5 periods that I have in APUSH, and I will gladly even share it with you on Remind if you need to. But you'll find all the join codes there for each of the class periods. On the Zoom meetings, let's say you've got another teacher that has you doing something in like first period, and you can't make the 9 o'clock meeting. Hey, just pop in at 10 or pop in at 11. I'd like to keep as much of our class period together as possible because we built the chemistry in each of those class periods. And so I'd like you to do your best to stick with your class period. But if you need to hop in at another time to make your schedule much more easier, by all means, join us in those other periods. And if you can't make any class meeting, hey, what are you going to do? You've got things that you're doing, and I won't be let me rephrase. I'll be recording all the Zoom meetings and putting them on the website with secure access, meaning you have to use your email and passcode to access it. I'm not going to post the Zoom meetings on YouTube because that violates privacy. I can't have a block of 20 students' faces and names and then post it on the World Wide Web. So yes, if you miss a Zoom meeting, I'm going to tape the Zoom meeting, and then I will then at that point post it on our secure website so you can access it with that's why that login is so important on mrnesossi.com. So yeah, the Zoom meetings and class codes you'll find in there as well. And the other thing on the Zoom meetings is I found a way that I could do a screen broadcast, and so I'm going to show my screen as well. So if I have to get through a PowerPoint or something, I might, say, "Hey," and show you the screen and have the little kind of pop up. And you know what? If these Zoom meetings, and again, I don't know how long we're going to be doing this. District wants us back April 13th. If we go longer, I hope not. But if we do, then you feel comfortable with these Zoom meetings, then you know what? We could do them daily. Again, I'm here for you, and I want you to have the kind of comfort that you are going to be successful in this. All right, Miss Horning from seventh period. Miss Horning, so good to hear from you. This is more out of curiosity than anything, but how many assignments do you think we'll be given a week, and how much time a day are we dedicated to not only this class but school in general? I'm only going to give, and I was kind of looking at the calendar over the next 3 weeks. I'll talk about this more in depth tomorrow. I'm thinking only about 2 assignments a week. That's it. You really should only be spending about an hour a day or so on this class. It says 30 minutes, but maybe a little bit more, depending on what we're going to be doing. The assignments right now are literally just little online micro writes. Those take you what? 10 minutes for some of you, three. Ooh, no. And so you will be able to post those and get those little micro writes on there as well. And then I don't know, again, I don't know when we're going to do formal writing. So I'm going to get with our A-Push team and we are going to get together and ask ourselves what we're going to be doing as far as the formal writing goes. So a formal DBQ or a formal LAQ. And I'll get more information on to you as we confer upon that, because I need to make this crystal clear. With 4 A-Push teachers, we're going to be delivering material in kind of different ways, right? But when we assess, when we do the big assessments, the DBQs or the LAQs, we will be on the same page doing the exact same thing. And again, I don't know about testing yet, so that's still kind of up in the air. So, Ms. Horning, yes, assignments. How many will be given a week? I'd say about 1 or 2 at the most, 2, if we even have 2. And I would dedicate, again, however much time you would to this endeavor, because I want you to be much more familiar with that. All right, Miss Colina from first period has messaged, Mr. Nesossi, I saw this update from KDISD a couple of days ago regarding exemptions that might answer some of your questions regarding the absences. So, my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to go through, let's see, exemptions. The attendance requirement for spring 2020 high school final exams. Oh, okay. Miss Colina, thank you. I'm learning right alongside of you. This is why we're doing YouTube Live. This is fascinating. All right, listen up. I got breaking news. I should have one of those. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Breaking news. The attendance requirement for spring 2020 high school final exam exemptions has been waived. The semester grade average and discipline exemptions remain intact. The semester grade average and discipline exemptions requirements remain intact. So is that, again, that's going to be predicated upon the grading from this point forward, which again, I'll have to go through. So just so I'm not giving out information that is inaccurate, I want to take time this evening to read any updated information from KDISD. But Miss Colina, keeping me honest and giving us the information here regarding those absences. So fantastic. She sent one more link on here as well. Okay, absences. KDISD supports our parents' decision. Okay, that's a rather older one on the COVID-19 initially. All right, thank you, Ms. Colleen. I'm going to update my information to give to you so it is accurate. Mr. Alexander, is the Zoom meeting on Monday or Tuesday? Mr. Alexander from sixth period, the Zoom meeting is on Tuesday. Thank you for your question. Miss Behetti from first period. Hello, hope you are safe and well. I am indeed, Miss Behetti. Thank you so much for asking. I feel good. I temporarily take my temperature every now and then, feel fine. Boy, do I wipe down shopping carts. So I'll go to HEB and wiping down every shopping cart just when I go get groceries. Is there any new update on missed work? Meaning like missed work that you had before we broke for the break? Broke for the break. There are 2 things that we really had that were pretty large submissions before spring break, and that was the DBQ, the New Deal DBQ, and that 3 SAQ World War II quiz. So I'm talking with our A-Push team on what we're doing with quizzes that still need to be made up and DBQs that still need to be made up. But here's the thing. I have students that did a quiz and a DBQ in class, and then those that need to make it up would be doing it at home and submitting it via Canvas, and it's just simply not fair. I can't have students that are going to be graded on an existing handwritten DBQ and then turn around and give students home access to a DBQ and then have something that's on equal footing. So right now on makeup work, if you missed that previous DBQ, that new deal DBQ, or even the quiz on there, let's just put pause on that, because that's something that I need to consult with our APUSH team on what we do with existing missed work. And right now I don't have, yes, before the break, you reply quickly. So yes, that's what I'm going to be looking at, but I just don't see how you would be responsible for making up that work from home and then having the same kind of equity that other students had while doing it at school. So to be determined on that. Mr. Shreyas has joined us. Would you recommend from sixth period any exercises to practice our CC? I thought, would you recommend any exercises, like in general, like push-ups or sit-ups? And clearly I don't do those. So exercises on CCOT. Good. Okay. That's what I wanted to see. It's like, I don't, like I saw somebody like lifting like jugs of water in their garage or something on the Today Show. And I thought, yeah, no. Would you recommend any exercises to practice our CCOT skills in the case of 45-minute AP exam on the LAQ? And do you think the colleges will still consider the AP exam with the same amount of leniency, considering that tests are smaller of the content? So, okay, so two things. He says, would you recommend any ways to practice our CCOT skills in the case? That is what we're going to be doing this week, next week, the following week, and when we get back together in class. You know, my hope on bended knee with folded fingers, looking up and saying, I hope that we're together in 3 weeks in the classroom. Yes, we'll be continuing to hone in on those skills to practice that CCOT. One thing that I thought was poignant that we did talk about as an APUSH team is your collection of new content is not as important as you honing in on your existing skills. You can Google Pearl Harbor. You can Google Kennedy assassination or whatever the topic is, right? You can go get the material on your own. I'm not going to help you. Of course, I'm going to help you, but I'm saying I don't add much to just delivery of content at this point from a electronic standpoint. What I want to focus on is really sharpening those skills, bettering your writing, sharpening those thesis statements, clarifying some complexity, getting those reasoning skills in there. And so, yes, we will be doing exercises to practice those doc analyses. So you might see something in the future where, again, all right, let's look at these 5 documents. Let's look at audience, specifically audience, or let's just look at point of view. Let's look at those reasoning skills together. And so, yes, we will do that in the case of a 45-minute LEQ. And then you asked about colleges. Do you think the colleges will consider the same amount of leniency on this? Again, I can't speak for the colleges. I don't know what they will or will not consider. But what the College Board did say on their website, and again, go back through the forum and click on the link that I posted from the most recent information from the College Board, it said that they have in years past accepted credit for exams that have been shortened for student emergencies. That's the most I'm going to paraphrase on YouTube Live because I don't want to have misinformation. But if you go back to the College Board, and even if you can't find the link, just type in College Board COVID response, and their page will come right up, and it will tell you about what College Board has seen in the past that colleges have done in situations like these. So hopefully I answered your question there. Mr. Prakash from second period. Will assignment completion be self-paced besides the due date, of course, or will there be a set time in which we must complete it? Yeah, I'm really thinking it's going to be more self-paced. I want to mirror the college experience. And so I'm not going to sit here and say, all right, begin, pens down. I don't know how I would facilitate that from this type of medium. So I'm going to pretty much say, all right, here's these documents. I'll do like a little online lecture where I'll be down here on a little screen, and then I'll have like the PowerPoint up and I'll talk you through the lecture, and we'll do like a doc analysis together virtually. And then I'll say, all right, get me your thesis by Friday. And then I'll leave it at that. and you'll have a few days to do that. And secondary question Mr. Prakash asked is, are we required to show a face during these Zoom calls? No. You can pop in and you can access the audio, and you'll just be a black box. But I mean, I would like to see all of you guys because I think it's just important for us to connect. But if you're having a bad hair day, or your room is an absolute mess, or you just simply don't feel comfortable being in that setting, by all means, I will never force a student or say, yes, you have to have your picture shown on the screen. Short answer to your question, no, you do not have to show your face, but at least have your name in there. Excuse me, I bumped the mic. And then you can have just a black box so you can listen. And when you go to join the meeting, it'll ask you, do you want to have just audio or video and audio? And so you can make that choice. Mr. Webb from second period joins us. Hey, Mr. Nesossi, will we be doing timed writing assignments as a class or anything timed writing based online? I'm slightly concerned, so as I'm not the best typer. You're probably like me. I'm like single finger typer. The other thing that I thought was funny, and I just want to pause here for a second, and a couple of y'all chuckled at this, is the College Board said that you can do your AP exam on any device, including smartphones. And I'm thinking, can you imagine writing a whole DBQ or LEQ with your smartphone? I mean, that would take forever. So at this point, will we be doing any timed writing assignments? That I don't know how. If we're back in class, of course, in the next few weeks, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to do a timed writing assignment, and we're going to do it in such a way that we're preparing you to take because it seems like the College Board is just doing an online test only at this point. So we might look at a way to practice using online platforms. Good question, though. But will we be doing any timed writing assignments as a class or anything timed? I don't know how I could facilitate that online. So short answer is no. I'll probably just say, get this, here's the DBQ, type it out. And then if anything, the slower time period will get you to really deepen your understanding of the material. What we would probably do, and I'm probably jumping way ahead of myself by saying probably a lot, is start getting you to think, though, in that 45-minute time frame. I'm going to wait till April 3rd when the College Board has more information to understand what that 45 minutes looks like. So no timed writing assignments at this point. Again, I'm going to say, here's a little micro write, give me a little thesis and context, give it to me on Friday, and then we'll call it a day. There. Lots of great questions. Alrighty. Mr. Shankaran Arianan has once again replied, will you release a copy of The Beast? Yes, we are in talks right now with the APUSH team to get you a copy of The Beast. I'm not going to release it through the website. It'll be by secure access because it is a document that is kind of proprietary. It's the OTHS secret sauce. Mr. Gelati has spent a tremendous amount of time putting that document together over his expansive years of teaching APUSH. And so it is kind of an OTHS secret sauce propriety type document. And so we'll post it by secure website access in the coming days. But I'm not just going to put it on the regular website that anybody could download that. Alrighty. Mr. OJ Duma, hello from second period, Mr. OJ Duma. I'm not sure if you saw my reply on Canvas, but this is just to confirm the fact that I have been on your remind. Okay. I guess he probably didn't mean for me to read that on YouTube Live, but okay, thank you. Good. Okay, I've got you now on the remind. So we're good there. All right, a couple of more. We're gonna, my gosh, we've been doing this for 38 minutes. I can't believe I still got like more than 50 viewers right now watching this. So you must be really entertained watching me sit here in my library with the fireplace while you're getting your questions on there. Miss Maylarts from second grade. Hey, Miss Maylarts, glad to have you with us. Hi. You said in the Fireside chat that Zoom meetings would be on Mondays, but online it says Tuesday. And so, okay, so that was the slight thing that I just want to clarify. Monday, like tomorrow, is just getting our head wrapped around everything. I want to make sure you're in Canvas. I want to make sure you're registered for MrNesossi.com. Make sure you're in Remind. So this is a make sure kind of set up first day of school type thing. And then our first Zoom meeting will be on Tuesday. And then the following week, it'll be on Monday, and the Monday, hopefully not beyond that, but the next 2 Mondays. So that's why there's a little variation in there as well. Mr. Alexander is back. Thanks for answering. You're welcome, Mr. Alexander. Also, he says, would we be covering other periods as period one to period six or period six to period one? Oh, like, I see what you're saying. Like, would we then just, okay, we made it all the way to World War II, and then we're going to back up on here. I'm thinking I'd like to, I haven't thought about that yet. Probably this YouTube live. So I'm thinking about it right now. Let me take a sip of my tea. I think I'd probably like to go back to the beginning and work our way forward. I think because that's the oldest information and we can really deepen our understanding of that. So I'm right now, again, I have to consult with the rest of the A push team, but I'm thinking we would just go back to the beginning and let's start at the very beginning and then work our way back up this way. I don't want to work backwards. So to be determined on there. Mr. Decide, when will we get the beast? I don't know. Soon. So we'll get that released and get it out. Let's just do baby steps, one baby step at a time, and we'll get that document to you. I'm hoping by the end of the week, and based on the consultation that I have with our other A push team. All right, we're wrapping up on the last few things. Ms. Mosachek, how will cheating be prevented or monitored during any assessments that we might take, including the AP exam? That was the bread and butter of the end of the second fireside chat that I have. There's not going to be much that's going to be in the way between you and cheating, and that scares me because you are fallible human beings that are going to do whatever you can to get the very best score possible. It is my hope. This is where I get kind of very emotional about it, that you don't. It is my hope that you take this course and try to really test yourself and see if I've done what I needed to get you to this point. And it's a good indication to see what you've done to get to this point. So character is defined by what you do when nobody is looking. And there's going to be very few people that are going to be monitoring that. It's just really impossible. So my goal is that when I get these scores back in the summer, that I'm looking at pretty genuine data that is a reflection of the work that you've done in this course and not some haphazard copying and pasting or cheating that you've done on that end. So, and how is cheating prevented in any normal class? It's not. We do our best as teachers to kind of mitigate or to hamper as much of that as possible, but students, even to this very day, still sadly amaze me with ways that they have circumnavigated the system and found a shortcut. And if that is the case, and it is somehow found out, whether it is through, because we're using Turnitin.com, you're going to go through some plagiarism software, and that's just some blanket copying and pasting, then you can certainly count off any recommendation letter and anything that you're going to get from me, and then my sad disappointment. And I know that's even tougher. I'm not even mad at that point. I'm just sad. How will we prepare for the free response for the AP test if we don't practice during our class? That's a good question. We're going to, again, a lot of those questions on how we're going to be proceeding forward structurally with this course will be answered as we go along. Again, at the very beginning of this, now 43 minutes ago, at the beginning of this YouTube live, I said we're going to have short-term objectives and then we're going to have long-term goals. My short-term objective tonight on Sunday night is making sure that first and foremost, you are healthy and that you are doing well and that you are in good spirits and that you're excited to get this venture started. Number two, making sure that you have access to Canvas and mrnesossi.com and Remind. And then we're going to try to put a little piece in front of you, see how you grab it. I'm going to assess it. Okay, we can go on to the next one. Have a little piece in front of you, grab it, go on to the next one. So any of these long range stuff like getting to the examination, remember the exam is still down the road. And April 3rd, we'll have a lot of information from College Board on that exam. But I don't want to jump to the end of this journey right now and start working that, even though that seems intuitive. But for now, in this unusual situation, you are one of millions, millions students nationwide right now that are wondering about SATs and ACTs and college admissions and all the AP exams. So it will It will work itself out. You just got to slow down, trust the process, and know that we're gonna get there together. But yeah, so we'll I have done everything I can, and I know your teachers in other classes have done everything they can to get you as prepared as possible for all of these endeavors. And so I'm not going to let you down at this point. But yeah, a lot of that stuff is still way in the future of being too much to kind of grab onto right now. Alrighty, so let's go to the last few that we have here, and I do want to wrap it up because I mean, I don't want to keep you here for forever. Even though I'm enjoying our time together, and I hope you are as well. Do you have tea with you, by the way? Did I mention that tea warms the throat and the soul during this time period? Mm. It is a good Earl Grey tea. Now, I do recommend a nice matcha green tea if you're a tea person. That's also a fantastic one. And I do like a good English breakfast tea. So keep that in mind if you're a tea person as well. Miss Horning asks, it's not a question, but just wanted to wish you and all the other teachers the best. I can't imagine how you guys feel. Ooh, thank you, Miss Horning. Uh, Imagine how you guys feel that teachers have a calendar and plan everything ahead and now having to rewrite those lesson plans on a new platform, and that we have your back. Thank you. That's what I want, and I want you to be a part of this process too. And we've got your back. This is you guys have had. I mean, your whole life right now is school, and that's been kind of ripped away from you, and from all of us, right? And so that's why I think it's just so important to communicate like this to be able to connect. And so thank you for your very very kind words, Mr. Yap. He says, "Will we ever see you?" Will we ever see you in a suit again? Yes, Mr. Yap, I promise I will be in a suit. I might even break out the bow tie for our first week of classes again. Believe me, they're sitting in the closet asking, where is Mr. Nesossi? Yes, but like I said, this hoodie is actually pretty comfortable. Also, can you put the school on eBay since we're not going to school on moment? What? If you're in seventh period, you know Mr. Yap, and this is very much Mr. Yap. Do you also want us to remind you that tomorrow is Monday and to shower? No, I do shower daily. Thank you for the remind. My Welch fruit snacks are in my school. Okay, everybody on YouTube Live, Mr. Yap's Welch's fruit snacks are in his locker. So I don't think you can get to your of all the things that are going on in a global pandemic right now, the world needs to stop and remember that Mr. Yap has his Welch snacks in his locker. So we feel for him. I promise you, brother, you could go to the grocery store and get other Welch's snacks that are there. You go on Amazon and get them for there. All right, there we go. Hello, Mr. Associate. Hope you're doing well. Do you have anything about the closure of schools after the 13th? No, I'm not a psychic. I have no idea. uh I It's my hope that if we I know hashtag flatten the curve, that's the big story right now. Everybody wants to flatten the curve. So if we flatten the curve and everybody does what they need to do and stays indoors and hand washes and practices social distancing, then the faster we can get out of this conundrum, and the quicker we can return to school. But if those spring breakers are still jumping around the beaches of Daytona and Padre Island and not adhering to these kinds of things, this thing could be extended. And that's something that I'm definitely hoping is not the case. So, um, all right. Last few, Mr. Anand, do we know anything about exactly how we will be graded on the AP test, such as a 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and how they will check with that small amount of data to figure out a grade? Brother, I do not. I imagine, I don't know, there are probably some pretty smart people, hardworking people sitting around conference tables right now at the College Board headquarters in New York, trying to figure all that out right now. So the short answer, at least the long answer to your very short question, I'm going to turn it into a short answer, is I don't know. I don't know what those 45 minutes are going to look like, what type of FRQ you're going to be doing, and then I don't know how it's going to be numerically graded. I mean, I imagine they keep the 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, but I don't know how the rubrics are going to shift around as well. So April 3rd, April 3rd, I will be waiting with bated breath and trying to understand what is going to be occurring with the exam as well. So we're all kind of waiting there. All right. Mr. Shankaran Arianan likes the virtual fireplace. It's very futuristic. And time to CCOT the evolution of the fireplace over the course of U.S. history. Yes, FDR. I don't know if he was sitting next to a fireplace. I think he was assuming that his audience was sitting next to a fireplace, but this is kind of an homage back to FDR. I think I'm gonna go around the house and try to find uh, a picture. I've got him somewhere, maybe in my office, of FDR, and then I'll have him kind of sitting in the background. I promised I would do an FDR voice, but that would probably annoy you over the course of our time together. All right. I think that's going to be it. How do you think the Mr. Kumar is going to finish this up? How do you think the current administration is handling the situation? I do want to let me just take a second, real quick, and talk about at least our school community. I think from the district standpoint and our own principals, they've done a remarkable job of trying to navigate these waters. They have been emailing us all the time, and our department chair and our team leads and our principals are all communicating via Zoom meetings and group text. I've been in a group chat with the APUSH team all through this process. Again, we're all practicing that social distancing as professional adults, but trying to communicate in such a way that we can deliver you with the same basic information that you deserve. So everybody's hanging in there. We're just kind of doing our part. All right. If you have any further questions, because we're getting right about the hour mark here, I certainly encourage you to please put them on the forum on mrnesossi.com. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this. This has been really cool. And it was good to hear from you guys. And I thank you for chiming in. We'll be recording this. So if somebody did miss this, they can see it. I'll be posting it on our YouTube channel. And then I'll be posting our Zoom meetings on mrnesossi.com. So from me to you, thank you so much for being an awesome, awesome, awesome group of students. I think we've made a incredible connection from August until now. And I think that this unique moment, this pandemic, if you will, while we can look at it as a terrible, terrible unfolding of events globally and with the potential of even getting worse, I always like to look at a silver lining throughout this. And I think the silver lining is that we're sharing together in this historical moment with uh, an unparalleled that I don't think I'll ever see again. At least I hope I'll never see again for the rest of my life. So many, 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 many years from now, when I look fondly back upon all the many years that I've been teaching, I will think of my class of 2021 and the class that weathered the COVID-19 pandemic together. So, yes, sucks kind of staying home, but I've got my Hulu queued up. I've got my Netflix. I've got my Amazon Prime, and I've got you guys. And that's all I need at this point. And I'm very thankful for that. So, we have asked our older generations, the greatest generation, to go off and fight wars in Europe. Anne Frank sat in a attic of 400 square feet for over 700 days trying to prevent Nazis from killing her family. I think we can sit on the couch and do a micro write once or twice a week and watch Netflix. So I got this, and you got this too. So I thank you for your time. I know it's very precious. And as a high schooler, you would rather be doing anything than hanging out with your high school teacher virtually. But this has been a special moment this evening. First time I just said, you know what? Let's go for it. Let me do a little tutorial on YouTube Live, watched it and said, this is how we do YouTube Live. And so this has been a really, really great experience. And so I thank you for that. So I'm going to sign off for now. And I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow through another fireside chat that's going to lay out the content. Enough of this kind of overview stuff. We're going to start getting into the meat of the course. We're going to start talking about, Pearl Harbor in the coming days and Midway and D-Day, and just finish up World War II, and then post-war Yalta Conference, the birth of the Cold War, and all of those things. So thank you for your time. Love you all, and can't wait to continue this journey with you. You got this. Now go wash those hands and be well and be wise.